Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us here at KAKM for Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy. On the satellite imagery yesterday, we had low pressure here slowly moving in across the southeast coast. That kept it cloudy and showery there across the area. Had some pretty good sunshine here occurring over south central Alaska, the North Gulf Coast areas, down across Kodiak Island, back over the southwest interior, were some areas of showers and thunderstorms developing over the interior there. But today, or actually yesterday, a front approaching and coming on shore over the northwest here, spreading some rain and gusty winds up into that area. And today that continued to push mostly to the east, but the front kind of weakening as it dropped southward into the interior. That brought some rainfall amounts to the upper Yukon Valley, into the central interior, back across the Seward Peninsula. Then there's another trough right in through here that's bringing some moisture in across Norton Sound, the southern Seward Peninsula area, down into the Yukon Delta. But a lot of sunshine again today over Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, south central Alaska, seeing some good sunshine, partly to mostly sunny skies there around the Copper River Basin. And some showers, scattered showers developing, as well as some thunderstorms over the Copper River Basin this afternoon, and also over the eastern Kenai Peninsula, seeing some lightning strikes showing up, as well as over Kodiak Island. Don't see that occur too often there, thunderstorms over Kodiak, but they occurred today. And otherwise, mostly sunny conditions, temperatures into the 70s here over the Bristol Bay area, up into the Kuskokwim Valley, mostly sunny skies. Rain moving eastward there from Tanana, getting into the Fairbanks area this afternoon. And over the southeast coast, still partly to mostly cloudy skies there with a few scattered showers around. Rainfall amounts there over the last 24 hours range from just a few hundredths of an inch to as much as 1/10 of an inch at Hoonah and 2/10 of an inch at Cake, and that was about the heaviest amounts reported down there. So really not a whole lot of rainfall, but definitely some clearing skies here along and off the coast, getting in across the Port Alexander and Sitka area, seeing some sunshine this afternoon. But some more clouds here off to the southwest. It'll keep a chance of showers in as this upper level system gradually slips to the east there, really doesn't leave the area. So you're going to keep showers in the forecast there for the next couple of days, but nothing too terribly heavy. Otherwise, back up here to the northwest, some winding rains over the north central interior areas, the Koyukuk, upper Yukon Valley areas, to some soaking rains back to the north and west there. Places like Ambler picked up about 2/3 of an inch of rain, as did Selawik in the last 24 hours today. For tonight, still some scattered showers up in that area, and also look for some showers to continue over the eastern Norton Sound area, Nulato Hills, down into the Yukon and Kuskokwim Delta. Mostly cloudy skies and a chance of showers. Is high holding here just northwest of the Pribilof Islands, clockwise flow around that, keeping all that moisture coming in off the Bering Sea there and spreading it southeastward here up to about the Kuskokwim Mountain area. So it should stay relatively fair across the Kuskokwim Valley. Mostly clear skies here, south central Alaska, down into Bristol Bay. Kodiak Island, mostly dry. Some evening showers, isolated thunderstorms over the mountainous terrain here of the Copper River Basin. Otherwise, scattered showers here over the eastern interior, and still a chance of some showers here tonight, mostly over the northern southeast coast. Look for some clearing periods down to the south, high pressure over the Gulf of Alaska, so no storms moving in and nothing really to kick that upper level low off to the east. So it's just really inching its way along. So that's going to keep showers in the forecast, at least scattered isolated showers with partly to mostly cloudy skies, which means partly sunny in some areas as well here across all of the Panhandle. And so again, tomorrow, mostly sunny and warm conditions again, highs into the 70s, south central Alaska, the Kenai Peninsula areas. back down into Bristol Bay, still looking pretty good. Be some variable clouds out here over the southwest interior, but it should be a mostly dry day tomorrow with the showers having pretty much cut off now. High pressure building into the Yukon Delta there, kind of a northeast wind direction on the wind flow, but there will be some scattered showers up here over the central interior, again with some areas of smoke that'll extend back to the northwest into the Noatak Valley areas. Then this warm front up there will bring a chance of rain to the central Arctic coast, but generally the eastern interior, partly mostly sunny, a few scattered showers, isolated thunderstorms in the afternoon, and then clouds here back along the west coast, Bering Strait, high pressure holding out over the Bering Sea there. It's keeping this frontal system way back to the west, directing all the moisture and energy up to the north, and then this system slipping eastward by to the north there, and then another system kind of gathering down here south of the Alaska Peninsula. This one's going to bring a chance of rain to the Alaska Peninsula, at least the southern coastal areas during the afternoon on Monday there, but more notably it'll be an increase in the winds, looking for 30 knot northeasterly winds from Sitkinak all the way down to Cape Sarachev here on the Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula areas. Small craft advisories for the eastern Aleutians, so increase in the northeast winds here across the southeast Bering Sea down to the Fox Islands. Otherwise, another sunny warm day here over the interior areas. Should be mostly dry. It's just some variable clouds up over the Tanana, upper Yukon Valley areas. This weakening front will be enough to bring light rain, fog, and drizzle to the eastern Arctic coast back across the north slope out towards Point Lay down to about Cape Lisburne or Point Hope, with a few scattered showers in advance of the front there over in the Noatak Valley areas. But generally mostly sunny skies here again, temperatures into the 70s, south central Alaska, Copper River Basin, just variable clouds. There's a chance of some scattered or isolated thunderstorms here along the western Alaska range, and that upper level low still in the area here, so keep the clouds and at least some isolated showers around the southeast coast. Temperatures this afternoon down that way were in the upper 50s to mid 60s, 65 in Juneau this afternoon with 63 at Sitka, 67 over at Annette, while Klawock had 64 degrees, 65 in Yakutat this afternoon, Valdez had 66, Cordova a little cooler at 60 degrees, but into the 70s here over the Susitna Valley, Cook Inlet, the Kenai Peninsula, although Seward just 66 degrees, same temperature at Valdez, and then the Copper River Basin, Gulkana, Glen Allen Copper Center, all into the mid 70s there this afternoon with 71 at Talkeetna, 75 in Anchorage this afternoon. Up to the north, cooler with the clouds moving in, some rain reaching Fairbanks this afternoon, 58 degrees, but 10 degrees warmer at Delta, and about the same over at Northway with 69. Up to the north, again, clouds and rain in this area, so Fort Yukon just 54 degrees, Bettles was up to 59, but mostly in the mid-50s here across the Kobuk, Lower Koyukuk Valley areas back out to the northwest, and then up along the Arctic coast, chilliest conditions up there with upper 30s all they could manage at Dead Horse, Barrow, and Wainwright, but inland a little bit, got into the lower to mid-40s. Mid-50s here, as I mentioned, over the northwest part of the state. Lower to mid-50s, a lot of clouds and some showers around Norton Sound. Down along the Yukon Delta coast, 57 in Bethel this afternoon, same in Sleep Butte, but sunshine, 68 degrees in McGrath with just a few clouds there, and 76 down at Iliamna. Farther out to the west and southwest, again, the warmest temperatures up over northeast Bristol Bay, but not too bad here. Chignik at 66, but 56 there at Falls Pass, 52 in Unalaska, mid-50s for the Pribilof, same thing for the central Aleutians, into the mid-50s there, and a little bit cooler out toward Shemya. Forecast lows for tonight in the lower to mid-30s here up along the Arctic coast and parts of the north slope. Otherwise, looking at 40s to lower 50s through the Brooks Range, northwest interior in the lower 50s, upper 40s to lower 50s through the central interior as well, mostly lower 50s down across the Bristol Bay area. Lower to mid-50s here for south central Alaska. Again, some areas on the North Gulf Coast and the Copper River Basin dropping below that 50-degree mark, and kind of lows ranging upper 40s to mid-50s for the southeast coast. And for highs tomorrow out here over the Bering Sea, a day much like today, into the lower to mid-50s out in that area all the way up to St. Lawrence Island. Otherwise, back into the mid-70s here for the Susitna Valley, down into the Kenai Peninsula area, and lower to mid-70s again, much like today here for the Copper River Basin area, into the 70s over northeast Bristol Bay. and otherwise upper 60s to near 70 here through the central interior areas. The Arctic coast should warm up at least above 40 degrees. Barrow should push up to 46 tomorrow, as does Dead Horse, or actually Kaktovik over there. Dead Horse should reach 59 degrees. Looks like some 60s showing up here around Point Lay in the western North Slope, otherwise 50s down the west coast. And for flying weather, areas of marginal VFR continuing mostly over the southern and northern southeast coast, and of course all across the Gulf of Alaska. They're coming up close to Kodiak Island, some marginal VFR right up along the eastern coastline. That probably won't spread across the area until tomorrow night as that system comes up from the south. That'll increase the easterly flow here across the Gulf of Alaska, so that should produce at least cloudy skies tomorrow night and on Monday there, but tomorrow should still be pretty good. Looking for VFR. IFR here on the Bering Sea side of the Alaska Peninsula, the eastern Aleutians, with marginal VFR right up the west coast and across Norton Sound. Some IFR there from about Nome up to Teller and Tin City there through the Bering Strait coast, and IFR also likely here for the central and eastern Arctic coast with some fog up in those areas, with areas of smoke contributing to the marginal conditions here through the central interior and the Koyukuk Valley back up to the eastern Brooks Range. Just a big area IFR here from St. Lawrence Island down across the western Bering, covering all of the eastern and western Aleutians. Passes, Anatuvik starting out marginal, becoming VFR in the afternoon. Adigan will be VFR from start to finish tomorrow. Both Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR, rainy, same forecast, VFR flying conditions for that pass as well. Windy looking good, Isabel open, Mentasta, VFR, Tanita, VFR, and Portage also VFR. Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR tomorrow. Excuse me. And the freezing levels here showing 6,000 feet there over the eastern Arctic coast, then back up to about 10,000 feet here from about the Brooks Range all the way down toward the Gulf of Alaska. A little bit cooler condition here over the southeast coast with that slow moving upper level trough, and then gradually warming up 10 to 12,000 feet here over the western Bering and Aleutian areas. Icing threats about, well, really none significant here over much of the mainland, the southeast coast, or anywhere out to the west. Could get some light to isolated moderate rime icing above about 6,000 feet there along the central and eastern Arctic coast, and that's about it icing-wise. So looking at the winds aloft, high pressure here just off the southwest coast at the upper levels, and that's forcing the jet stream to arc quite a ways to the north there into the Arctic Ocean, and then coming back around northeasterly. Of course, that's a dry flow, offshore flow there, keeping the temperatures into the 70s here south of the Alaska Range, south central Alaska and Bristol Bay as well. And then this very slow moving upper level system slowly inching its way eastward across the Panhandle, keeping showers in the forecast there for the next couple of days. 9,000 feet. Westerly winds up to 40 knots there along the western Arctic coast, with northeasterlies 15 to 25 knots here over the southeast Bering Sea, dropping off over the Aleutians with pretty light west to northwest breezes across southern Alaska. Not much in the way of any significant wind at both 9 and 3,000 feet across the Panhandle, kind of a northwest breeze there between the low moving slowly eastward and the high off the coast there. So you could see some 15-knot winds at 3,000 feet right along the coast. Otherwise, high pressure holding out over the Bering Sea, flow up and over the top. Pretty brisk there along the western Arctic coast down into the Kotzebue Sound area, 30 to 40 knots there, but much lighter here over the eastern interior. And light variable conditions here across southern Alaska. Turbulence-wise, look for some light to isolated moderate chop here up over the northwest, western Arctic coast, down across the Noatak Valley, into the Bering Strait to possibly St. Lawrence Island, another area of possible turbulence here for the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians, and then out over the far western Bering Sea and the Aleutians, all below about the 4,000 to 6,000 foot level. Otherwise pretty smooth here across much of the remainder of the state. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
Mike Nolan, Anchorage Fire Chief. I'm here to talk to you today about defensible space and wildland fires. The fire truck in the background is your last line of defense against wildfire. You are the first line of defense. The following video will show you how to prepare and protect your home so that if you call us, we can save it. Thank you.
This program deals with maintaining landscaped properties in fire-prone areas known as the wildland-urban interface. What were once wildland forests, fields, and pastures are now businesses, highways, and homes. Whether simple cabins, mobile homes, or large, expensive developments, many are constructed in the wakes of past fires and in the path of future fires. In areas where wildfires have occurred naturally for centuries, homes and gardens now add fuels that can accelerate the spread of fire. Landscaping can help protect property and lives from wildfire. Because the landscape is constantly changing, proper maintenance is the key to keeping landscaping fire-wise. Landscapes that are easy to maintain are more desirable than highly complex arrangements that may be neglected. Over time, plants grow and spread, mulches dry out, leaves and pine needles accumulate. All contribute to the fuels which can accelerate a wildfire. Proper maintenance improves the appearance of plants and helps protect the structure from wildfire. Fire needs fuel, something to burn, like grass, trees, or the homes nestled among them. To an interface fire, homes and other structures become merely fuel. Fires start easily and burn rapidly in light fuels like dry grasses. These in turn provide a path to larger fuels like trees. Once at the base of a tree, fire can move into low branches and climb to the top or crown. This arrangement, known as ladder fuels, provides wildfire a path along which to grow and spread. Interrupting a potential fire's path is a primary concern in maintaining the property and the landscape. A fire-wise landscape is a healthy landscape, one whose plants are durable, fire-resistant, compatible with the terrain and climate, and well-maintained. When plants dry out, they become more flammable. Proper watering is therefore essential. The results of overwatering and underwatering can be the same: damaged plants and increased flammable litter. Irrigation systems, whether drip or spray, play an important role in maintaining the health of plants, shrubs, and trees. If an irrigation system is not working effectively, vegetation may become stressed and dry, providing wildfire a way to spread to other vegetation. Familiarity with the system, along with routine inspection and maintenance, is necessary to keep the landscape in top condition. As trees grow, careful pruning preserves their appearance, structural integrity, and functional values. But pruning also maintains its ability to resist fire. Pruning tree branches at least 6 to 10 feet from the ground helps interrupt the fire's path. Pruning cuts should be clean and smooth, avoiding flush cuts and stubs. A well-pruned tree heals quickly, while poor pruning results in scarring and possible disease. No more than 1/3 of a tree's live foliage should be removed at one time to avoid stress. Young, vigorous trees can withstand more severe pruning than older, weaker trees. Remove dead and diseased branches from trees. This reduces the potential for fire spreading into the crown. Shrubs should be well spaced to break up the fire ladder and keep the vegetation density low. Except for formal clipped or sheared shrubs, shrubs should be maintained by thinning, maintaining size, and removing excess leaf litter. Vines and ground covers can build up a heavy underbrush of dead leaves and branches, which should be removed to lessen fuel for fire. Remove or mow dry grasses, weeds, and underbrush. A mulch over bare soil can provide many benefits while adding little fire risk. Even in healthy landscapes, the buildup of leaf litter and other debris can give fires a chance to start under porches and decks, and on roofs. Brush and cuttings from landscape maintenance create another fire hazard. This debris should be promptly and legally disposed of, leaving a clean, neat landscape. Sometimes fuels for wildfires can be found under decks and porches. Store firewood well away from other combustible materials. Fertilizing and pest control is also important for maintaining healthy and therefore fire-wise landscapes. The safe fueling and regular maintenance of garden equipment, careful disposal of smoking materials, and the proper storage and use of flammable liquids and combustible materials are important to maintaining the fire-wise landscape design. Regular maintenance of equipment has the dividend of continued use for many years, but there is also a fire-wise benefit. Besides properly using and refueling lawn and garden equipment, each piece should be properly maintained according to the manufacturer's instructions. Without proper maintenance, an engine can overheat. A heated engine can start a fire. Remove dry grass and leaves from around the engine. Before refueling, allow the engine to cool, even if for only a few minutes. Refuel in an area away from vegetation. Refueling on level ground will help avoid spills. Gasoline fumes can travel several feet, even from a small spill. If the fumes reach a nearby source of ignition, a fire can flash over the surface and back to the spill instantly. In addition, any gasoline or oil-soaked rags should be stored in a closed, airtight container, be cleaned and dried, or be properly disposed. Fire officials recommend that an approved fire extinguisher be available at all times, and that everyone knows how to safely use it. One of the most readily available sources of ignition for fire is as close as the flick of a wrist. If smoking is allowed on the site, make sure that precautions are taken to properly handle this common source of ignition. Store oils, gasoline, and other flammables in safe containers, kept in well-ventilated areas. Treat these as carefully as you would fire itself. In case of fire, notify the local fire department immediately. Any delay can result in tragedy. Your state or local authorities may have specific requirements for one or more of the following: clearance distances for brush and other flammable vegetation, disposal of debris, and fire safety requirements for equipment. Check with local authorities on these and related issues. Even though they may be designed and installed according to sound principles, landscapes change continuously. Your careful maintenance will ensure the landscape's beauty, enhance the environment, and maintain its value as an investment in a fire-wise future.
Welcome back. Well, about the only change between yesterday's sea ice analysis and today's is this area of sea ice out here is melting in place and is less extensive than it was yesterday. Otherwise, there's no big shifts in the ice edge from the eastern central Arctic coast or off to the northwest. No big changes expected to occur over the next 3 or 4 days. And for the coastal waters forecast here, northwest winds here all along the coast, 10 to 15 knots, lightest up there on the north coast, seas just 3 to 4 feet. Northwesterly winds also for the central and southern inside waters with 3-foot seas. Light southerly winds there for northern Lynn Canal at about 15. And the outlook for Monday, winds swing around to the north, pick up to 20 knots for northern Lynn Canal, seas at about 4 feet. Northerly winds for Stevens Passage. On the light side, though, just 10 knots. And a little bit stronger there for Clarence Strait, northwest at 15. Then we've got northwest winds here along the coast at 20 knots from the north coast all the way down to the central coast, and then a little bit lighter there for the south coast. And for Prince William Sound, Cook Inlet, light variable winds tomorrow at about 10 knots with seas 2 feet or less. Light westerlies here for the North Gulf Coast, light southwest winds for the Barren Islands area. Westerlies at about 15 there for the Kamishak Bay region. Otherwise, pretty light winds here around Kodiak Island from the south and southwest. And then the southeast winds pick up to about 20 knots here along the east side of Kodiak there on Monday with light variable winds, Shelikof Strait up across the Kamishak Bay area, and actually all through Cook Inlet, pretty light variable winds, 10 knots or less with slight seas. Light winds continue for Prince William Sound for the next couple of days. Westerlies at 15 for the North Gulf Coast, southwest winds from the Barren Islands to the western coast there. And then going out to the west there for Bristol Bay, light northerly winds tomorrow at about 10 knots, light variable winds here from Sitkinak over to about Castle Cape. Then from Castle Cape to Cape Sarachev, there's a small craft advisory, northeast winds at 25 knots. Northeast winds picking up to 20 knots here on the Bering Sea side of the Alaska Peninsula as well. And then for Monday, those easterly winds, east and east-northeast winds at about 30 knots here, all from Sitkinak all the way down to Cape Sarachev there. Small craft advisories continue there also on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula. Lighter winds in store for Bristol Bay, easterlies at about 15. And out over the Aleutians for the Fox Islands tomorrow, northeast winds 25 knots, small craft advisories there, seas running 5 to 7 feet. For the central Aleutians, east to northeast, about 20 knots with 4 to 6 foot seas. Then back into the small craft advisories out towards Shimi and Attu and Kiska. And then for Monday, those southeasterlies at 25 continue here for the far western marine zone there, but north winds at about 20 knots for the central Aleutians, Adak and Atka in those areas, with small craft advisories here for the Fox Islands. Northerlies 25 to 30 knots with seas running 8 to 11 feet. And up across the southwest coast, kind of south of Nunivak Island, north at 15, north of the island there, northwest at 15. We've got small craft advisories for St. Lawrence Island there for those westerlies at 25 knots with seas up to 7 feet. Otherwise, for the northern Bering Sea, St. Matthew Island looking southwest at about 20. And for the next day, 20-knot winds here for the southwest coast, northerlies at 25 for the Pribilofs. The Arctic coast, we've got 30-knot winds here for the western coast with small craft advisories all the way down to Wales. And then for the next day, westerly winds at about 20 knots, small craft advisories along the western Arctic coast there, otherwise lighter to the east. And for tonight, some scattered showers over the northwest interior, all the way down to the Yukon and Kuskokwim Delta. Otherwise, not much change here over the Bering Sea. Another sunny, warm day here for south central Alaska, Bristol Bay. Kodiak Island, you see an increase in the clouds there, probably off to the east, but that'll likely move in and be cloudy for the next day, for Monday there. Some isolated thunderstorms, otherwise another sunny warm day here across much of the interior. Some rain up along the Arctic coast and North Slope, and still a chance of showers over the...
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX brief for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.